Let's go!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to BingetownTV. I am Paul, and here with me today is Kyle, and we're talking The Witcher Season 2. Today we're covering episodes 3 and 4, titled What is Lost and Redanian Intelligence. Officially halfway through the season now. Very interested to see what you think of these two episodes and where you think the second half of Season 2 is headed.
We talked a little bit before we started recording in that not like a lot of things happen, but plot arcs themselves don't advance very far. I feel like with Geralt and Siri, we get a lot of nice moments. I mean, Ciri's trying to train, and we find that out, and Geralt's kind of being his protector self. Triss gets introduced into their storyline, which I thought was really nice. But I feel like maybe like Yen and Kahir, that's like the storyline that really moves the most. Those were dead. That was definitely the most intriguing storyline to me. I think the potential of Ciri and Geralt is still there to be the best storyline, but with these two episodes, I really enjoyed Yen and Kahir's plot lines.
Yeah, they're. I mean, it's not unknown now that this is pretty much just unexplored territory. Like, this is not uh, referencing the books really at all. It's kind of like
That's so crazy.
it is. It's nuts. So this is all stuff that I always said I'm interested to see what you think the show's going to be. Just because as I'm watching that, I'm like, I don't even know. I have zero idea. Like episode 1, that happened in the books. Episode 2, they're kind of getting the Cara More and shit that didn't happen. Eskel, I already said that. And then I started watching these two, and I'm like, where the hell are they going with this? So I pretty much had no idea. I'm trying to take it completely separate story, trying to watch it like I've never seen it before. At the same times, it's nice to pick up on the Easter eggs that they're giving you with like the games and little like one-liners and stuff like that to the books. But it is its own animal now. It's crazy.
That is so interesting to me because I'm just thinking about from the perspective of like comparing it to Wheel of Time in that sense, just for me because I've read all the Wheel of Time books, so I'm kind of our SME for that show. And then coming into this show, I don't know anything about the story, so I'm a pure virgin in this world. And it's just so interesting that everything is like I would never know what was and what wasn't in the books.
Yeah,
Like it's
which
shocking that a lot of this wasn't in the books.
Emily kept looking at me. It was like, "What's going on? What's happening?" I'm like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
That is crazy. I don't know how
Yeah.
I would take that as like if with Wheel of Time was the same way. Although there's people that will argue it's the same thing and they're taking a dump on it, but I don't personally believe that. But I do wonder how I would handle that if it felt that different.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna rewatch all of season 2 before I give a final say on it. I will say
Okay.
I really don't agree with a lot of their opinions on
Okay.
what they've changed, but let's see where it goes, right? Maybe it breeds something awesome. Um, I mean, speaking of shit that doesn't happen, we're gonna cover these episodes in character buckets just to make it flow a little bit easier. And the first one we are going to cover is going to be Francesca and Philavandrel, and this is where they are just arriving at Zintria, the Elvish pronunciation of Sintra. And, it seems that they are being helped out by Nilfgaard, and it's kind of at least a place of refuge right now, like a safe haven. Um, and, they're saying, the North is basically formed an alliance due to their hatred of elves. And now Nilfgaard aligned with the elves caused basically the entire North to turn against them.
Yeah.
Um,
I do have a question. Is do you think, because I guess you don't know, but the is that alliance and then the resulting kind of not aggression, but just I guess potentially banding together of the North. Is that why that guy, that Nilfgaardian soldier, is like upset with Fringilla for this alliance? Because I couldn't tell if because we get in this episode in 3 and then episode 4 too. Because we'll be covering that in another episode, just recording this at the same time. I'm just curious, like, was he racist? Does he not like elves? Or was he more of like a, from a strategic standpoint, like, we're feeding all of these mouths and now the North is kind of united?
Yeah, that's honestly a good take. This guy, I believe his name is Hake or Hockey, like Hake. I don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce it. He kind of sounds like he is a little bit racist towards elves. He doesn't seem to view them in the same like way. He's saying they're talking about how they're supposed to train them, like these, all the elves that are here, and then apparently there's 4,000 more on the way. Like how he's supposed to house them and feed them, and then let alone train them, because the whole premise of this is Francesca made this alliance with the elves because she wants to regrow her army and get Nilfgaard strong again, and she's using these elves to do that. And she, she doesn't really share this with Francesca right away. They kind of actually bring it up right here, which, after the two of them stop talking, um, Francesca shows up and makes a remark like, "Oh, like, have you in trouble with your soldiers?" Meaning, this guy Hake or whatever, he didn't seem to like Fringilla being in charge at all.
No, yeah, you definitely got that vibe as well. And also, did we know that Francesca was pregnant? I'm just thinking about it.
So we saw a vision of her being pregnant when she was talking to the witch in the hut with no doors, but I straight up thought that was the witch showing her something, like giving her a vision. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it, but yeah, this scene when she walks up, she looks pregnant as hell.
Yeah, and they mention it. I don't remember if it's in 3 or 4, but it definitely gets brought up, like, almost confirmed. Well, I guess it's more of a rumor that she's pregnant.
Yeah, yeah, word is spreading because like we were talking about this last time. Elves can't have babies, basically. We talked about all the ones that can are too old. Well, basically all the elves that are alive are too old to have kids. So, word of an elf being pregnant, that's just nuts. And
Yeah.
that's why like word was spreading.
And
Some
I
people see it as a
realized,
threat.
oh yeah, I mean I understand that. Well, I guess
Mm,
I don't agree with it, but I understand why people would think that. But I
yeah.
guess I'm just thinking that I probably shouldn't say anything else that happens in episode 4. So I'm going to try my best to not.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, Francesca shows up and they kind of talk about their visions. Francesca saw somebody masquerading in white as Ithilene, and Fringilla saw the Emir, telling her to train the elves and make them their numbers strong again. So they both kind of know that who they saw wasn't the actual person. It was like kind of somebody else, but they're still following it. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna work out? Do you think it's gonna be bad?
I just feel like they're kind of desperate. I mean, that was a theme almost of their visions, Yen's included, and I believe it even says it that it's kind of they're just feeding off that desperation. I there's no way that it works out as cleanly as they think it will. Um, so no, I think they're being led down a path that is not actually where they think they're going.
Yeah, it's strange to just kind of. It's funny not to give too many spoilers, but in Way of Kings, you hear a voice or you're given visions, and you're like, okay, do I trust it or is it
Yeah,
somebody trying to manipulate me? And this is like one of those situations where you don't really know, you don't really have the answers.
yeah, they're diving head the fuck in though, because they no questions asked are just all right. Alliance, I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. Let's do this.
And how do you view Nilfgaard right now after season one and season two? Like, do you
Um,
think they're just like tyrants, just kind of taking over?
I would say no. I think this beginning of season 2, by just giving us this much Fringilla, has kind of lessened that blow. Obviously, season 1 they feel like that because you don't know
Hmm.
what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, and you only get the view from the opposite side.
Yeah, so I think meeting Fringilla and then a little bit of a kind of what they kind of Kahir, because I don't hate Kahir. So, but mostly Fringilla up until this point. For the first 3 episodes, I think Fringilla makes them seem not likable, but like you have more of an understanding of where they're coming from.
Yeah, the only reason I say that is because Fringilla has a line right here where she goes, people see the black armor and they think we're imperialists. They think we want to destroy the world, but we're not. We're trying to feed, we're trying to house, we're trying to liberate. And I'm like, are you? I don't know. You seem to be going around killing a lot, but I can see like because there is a line coming up where it's in either this episode or next where they say, I've heard that Nilfgaard's a pretty good place to live. Like maybe we should move there and
Yeah.
defect.
That also is like a classic like colonialist take where I'm sure like Britain was dropping people off in America and was like, we got this. Like we're bringing houses, clothing, all that shit, you know? So I think they certainly believe that, but the way that it's coming to fruition probably isn't as perfect as they're making it out to seem.
Yeah, gotcha. And so basically, that whole scene ends up, and the main point of it was that Fringilla wants an army, and Francesca wants a home. She wants a home where she can raise her baby. So that's what they're coming to terms with. And that was really it for that episode. Not a whole lot, but we're gonna
Yeah.
jump. We're gonna jump over to Geralt and Siri, the one that I just cannot get enough of. Sometimes when it changes scenes, I'm like, just go back to Geralt and Siri.
Dude, the two of them actually too. This is a great Siri episode. It's honestly I feel like a little bit less of a Geralt episode, and
Yeah,
she's amazing. She's great.
she definitely takes a spotlight here, and I said it before, and I know people on the internet they also agreed that season one we were a little bit worried to see how Freya Allen would portray Siri going forward, but I think season two she just absolutely nails it. I love her so much. Couldn't imagine anybody else being Siri now. She's just
Yeah,
like I
she has
picture
a
her.
she has a really nice edge to her. I think.
Yeah, she does. She has that. She walks around with the shoulders high, like princess attitude. At the same time, she's like scrapping right here, trying to pretending to be a boy in season one, so she could go play knuckle bones on the street. She's a badass. I like her. I mean, the first thing we get is her just straight up kicking the shit out of that dummy.
Yeah, and she looks honestly better with the sword. They don't really tell us how much time has passed. They might have. I just missed it, but she definitely seems to be improving.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a little bit. Uh, we know that when Yen returns back to Eretuz this episode, to say it has a line, it's been a month since the Battle of Sodden. So I don't know, however much time you think the first two episodes of,
Yeah,
or the first episode one of traveling to Caramore, and they've probably been there for a few weeks. And yeah,
yeah.
like you're saying, she's already looking good. She's getting the forms down. Um, and something about her like eagerness to like want to keep going. She's like, oh, like again, let's run it again. She wants to get it perfect.
Yeah, I
And
really think that her training arc, I guess for lack of a better term, that's such like an anime phrase, but
oh yeah,
that's like the most interesting thing in the show, I think, to me at this point. Or at the very least, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is her growth.
definitely. And we get this training here of like her physical like growth of her fighting knowledge, and then we also get Triss coming in. I'm sorry, that's not until episode 4. Never mind. But that's like her chaos, her magic knowledge. But anyway, we get Geralt too, like fixing his armor. I thought that was sick. It's
His
got the
armor is
whole.
sweet.
Oh, it's so cool, and the fact that he makes it himself is so much cooler for some reason.
I like how he says to her that like she needs to stop training so much because there's something called diminishing returns.
Hmm.
And he said that, and I was like, would he like know what that term even means? So I just went on like a stupid little rabbit hole, and like the first time they ever used that term was like before the Industrial Revolution. I was like, this is just a man ahead of his time. He knows all about this shit.
He is. If you read the books, and we always preach and say that the best part of it is just him talking with other people, and it's just conversations. He says some pretty intelligent stuff, and I'm like, how do you even know that? Like, is that even present in your world? And this is a great example of that.
Yeah, I really like it.
And yeah, Siri's like, no, let me go train, and all this other stuff because I want to beat, the Black Knight. She ends up getting a quick vision real quick, and we haven't really seen this too much in this season. This is kind of it rearing its head from season one, where she just kind of got like a flash forward, and saw herself getting dragged real quick. If that's right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
No.
what happens. I mean,
Okay.
it comes around. It does end up like she's almost predicting the future,
Mhm,
but that is what happens. They do talk about it a little too of like what this feeling she has.
mhm.
Um, that I mean, Geralt obviously knows that something's up with her. Because I don't think that he really knows that she has visions at this point. Not that I remember. So that's kind of she definitely starts acting a little weird afterwards.
He does have a line later on where he kind of knows she has visions because she saw him at Sodden Hill in the beginning of episode 1. So I agree with you. He's kind of piecing it together at the same time.
And I trust him because he, like we just said, is very smart. He's almost like a fucking detective. So
Hell yeah. And you were talking about the camera work, episodes 1 and 2 coverage. How about we got a nice shot of panning away from them going over Karamorn?
yeah,
It looked good,
it
just in the
looks
mountain
so
and
good.
everything.
Yeah, and you can really like it feels not like necessarily lived in, but they do live there. I just like the shots that it looks like broken because we've talked a little bit about the fall of Kaer Morhen, or they have, I
Mhm.
guess. So it's just kind of nice to see those effects.
Yeah, doesn't it just look like you want to play it in a video game? Like
Yeah,
you
oh,
just want
definitely that.
it's just like explore the dungeon
Yeah,
and castle and stuff.
it also looks like a nice place to just hunker down for the winter with the bros.
Speaking of the bros, we go in, we see Lambert and Cohen. I kind of like their back and forth. They're trying to tell Witcher jokes past the time. And he's like, all right, you tell me one. Like, what do you call a Witcher with no brains? Siri comes in, Lambert. I like how she's just like already like nudging them and giving them jabs and shit. Um, Something I don't like about this though is Lambert's attitude, like towards Siri and at Geralt right here. Like he is giving Geralt shit basically for killing Eskel.
Yeah, I was
Um,
shocked by that.
and Geralt's saying, that that wasn't our brother, not by the end of it. And bitterness won't help us find what killed him. And Lambert's like, I know what killed him, meaning like, oh, you killed him, you killed our
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
It's like
I thought that wasn't cool.
I don't know. I just don't understand why they're making him like this. They're like making Witchers unlike like they're having bad traits, personality traits. It's weird.
Well, because
But
like, don't they like not? I mean, I guess there's difference between not having emotions and like not liking what people do.
yeah, I
But they do
I don't
seem
know.
kind of emotional.
Yeah,
Besides
and
Geralt.
they do definitely. I mean, Vesemir even cries later this episode.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Triss has a line where it's people think you don't have emotions, but I know that you do. Maybe you just don't portray them, or they don't affect you as much. But like I know you can feel like normal feelings. To what extent, I don't know. But
Yeah.
um,
I mean, it got
Eskel's
me
definitely.
emotional when they're like the flashback when Geralt has like the flashback to him and Eskel, and like a
Mhm,
nice little moment they had. And
yeah,
he's like still kind of I mean, you can tell it affects him, but I was like, damn, I didn't really like Eskel, but this is kind of making me sad.
yeah, right. Like he's this cool bro who they were, a few winters ago just training,
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, he's like, oh, we're training till our legs fall off, and Geralt kind of like jabs at him real quick, and he goes defensive, and Geralt's like, "Yep, your legs still work, man. You're not training. You're not training hard enough."
Yeah, I feel like they would have had an interesting relationship because Eskel kind of comes off as this like a little bit of like a slacker, while Geralt comes off as for lack of a better term, and I don't even mean this in a bad way, just a teacher's pet. I mean, they even compare him to Vesemir a lot, so it would have
Mhm.
been like a little like buddy cop spin off. Almost seems kind of funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Geralt has a cool line here, basically saying, none of us will have any peace as long as there are still monsters in the world. Because Eskel's like, why can't we just relax? And Geralt's like, nope, never gonna.
Yeah, that's
Wild.
just it seems. I mean, they clearly take that idea differently because Eskel's like this sucks, and Geralt's like it's just the way it is.
Yeah. We go from that little flashback to Vesemir back dissecting Eskel. He's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He's saying this shouldn't have happened. Like there must be more tests I can run to track down whatever mutated the other Leshy. And Geralt's like, if there was a scientific explanation for this, you would have found it by now. Because that's all Witchers are. They just do facts testing and all this other stuff. So he
I
doesn't
think
have an answer.
I really think that's the most surprising part of this season as like a brand new fan is like how strapped they stay with all the scientific knowledge. I mean, I think Vesemir, or it might be Geralt, I don't remember, mentions they have a lab full of chemical compounds to turn day into night, and I'm just like, what? Like I didn't like think we were gonna get here. Some of my favorite scenes I feel like are them like figuring stuff out like this. I really like it.
I don't know what he means by that potion. I didn't know if he meant like the way they perceive like turning night into day or something like that. But
Okay.
I mean, turning day to, I mean, that's sweet. I don't know if that's gonna come back.
Yeah, I just took it completely at face value. I was like, oh shit, okay.
But that being said, they do have an unbelievable amount of potions, chemicals, different compounds, parts of beasts and animals that they use. It's really cool how
Yeah, it's
much
cool.
knowledge they do have.
They're like warrior academics almost.
Yeah, they're like straight up scientists.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And he wants to keep going and try to figure out what happened to Eskel, but Geralt's telling him, it's time to let Eskel rest. He deserves peace. So um, they eventually bring his body to the caves. And we can just cover that right now.
Yep. I'm just curious.
Um,
Is that like a? I mean, they played it off as like a ceremonious thing. Like, is that kind of like an area where witchers get buried? Is that a show thing? Is that a book thing?
Total show thing.
Okay.
I believe it is, at least. I don't remember doing that. I thought it was interesting because, they are the House of the Wolf. So I don't know if you knew this, but there are different houses of witchers.
Okay. No, I noticed that Vesemir calls Geralt Wolf a lot, but
Hmm. See, I don't know if there are even other houses in this world, to be honest. Because they're saying, Kaer the last Witcher's home and all this other stuff. So they might all be completely wiped out. But there used to be, different houses or
wow.
of Witchers. So there would be like, what's I mean, what's that? What's the term they call Geralt? It's gonna piss me off. I mean, they call him the White Wolf, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but I'm
I
probably
forget.
not the person to ask the question to.
Basically, he's School of the Wolf. I think there's like School of the Bear and other
Okay,
stuff.
that's interesting.
So here, Eskel dies, and I guess they go and feed him to the wolves. Pay respect. I wonder if they like fed them to bears or something like that in the other ones.
Sounds metal as fuck.
It does. When you die, feed me to bears.
Definitely worse ways to go. Or I
Yeah,
guess to
one
be
hundred
buried.
percent. And this is where we see Vesemir crying, like we were saying. It's strange to see them be showing emotion, but confirmation that they do actually have it. And they're just talking, and they keep saying, none of this makes sense. How do we miss it? Feels like the continent is evolving beneath our feet. Saying maybe the conjunction will come and change everything again.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a little like low key foreshadowing where like he obviously doesn't mean it in like a prediction sense, but the show's throwing it out there. And I don't know, I could get down with it if that's like an end game type of thing that like we're trying to prevent. Literally just throwing dartboards at a dart, or I'm sorry, throwing darts at a dartboard, blackout drunk in a bar right now saying that, but it would be interesting to me.
I could see you blacked out drunk at a bar throwing a dartboard at a dart, like you
Just
said
me,
initially.
yeah, just getting like you drunk holding it and me just throwing the whole board at you.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be perfect. To go back to Siri, she's training, and Lambert and Cohen, they kind of come up to watch, and Lambert's of course giving her shit because Lambert's the biggest douchebag in this universe, um, and saying like, "Hey, when we came here, we didn't beat up straw men." Um, she was like, "All right, well, what the hell did you guys do?" He was like, "Oh, you don't want to go that way. That's a dark path." He like unsheaths his sword. I was like, "What are you doing? Are you trying to be? Are you like trying to intimidate this little girl? And if you are,
Yeah,
why?"
he was being quite the hardo.
Yeah, like cuts off the head of the straw man and all this other shit. Siri's saying, I want to do what witches do. So he's like, all right, follow me. They go around the bend and they see an obstacle course. They call it the pendulum, is usually what they call it in the books. What were your first thoughts?
Um, like of the course itself, I thought that she was struggling way too hard on the first obstacle. If I'm honest, just to be honest. Although to her credit, I guess the floorboard, the one board that she had to walk on, was not very stable. So I guess
Mhm.
that would be hard. But the second one looked fucking impossible. So
Yeah, right.
yeah,
And
I
then
think that like the narrative sense of the scene where she's earning their respect was really nice. I just like couldn't stop thinking that she kept getting fucked up by those pendulum swings for
Yeah,
like less than good reason. Because I was like, just don't get hit, just stop getting hit.
with straight up spikes on them too.
Yeah,
There were so many blades and points, sharp edges on this obstacle course. It was insane. Um, Pendulum is a famous like Witcher training exercise. Everybody loves it, and this is one of the scenes that I absolutely loved in the book. They're like, sorry, you hear that?
I did.
It's about to go away.
What is that?
It's a fucking motorcycle. So I loved how they kind of had Lambert in there, kind of ripping her apart at first, but as she keeps getting knocked down and get back up, keep getting knocked down, getting back up, he's like actually giving her tips.
Yeah, I like
And
that too.
he was saying like, steady yourself, control your breathing, steady your legs, you can do this. I was like, all right, that's the Lambert I know and love. The one that like gives a shit about Siri and trains her and gives her fond memories of being at Caramorn.
Yeah, that seemed like a very nice kind of result of the scene. It, I figured we were gonna get there, and it was definitely satisfying when he kind of turns that corner for her.
Yeah, how ridiculous was it though? Clears the first few obstacles way harder that we were talking about. Gets to basically steps. She's going up steps that she has to jump a little bit. Struggling way too much on that for clearing the other ones. And then the
I'm
last
afraid of
thing,
heights, so I don't know how well I would have done on that, but okay.
she had everything. She got the last two obstacles, like the swing bridge and the dangling chains. And then she lands on the final platform and fucking falls off to the side. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, right in front of Geralt too, which is perfect.
Yeah, they come back and he walks up just in time to be like, so close.
Yeah, she bounces off that platform.
Yeah, and she like straight up spits up blood too and everything. She does get up by herself though.
She's working hard.
So they go back to her room and Geralt is fixing her up, bandaging her, putting ointments on her wounds, and this is just more like cool Witcher shit that they have. They're so knowledgeable. Like he opens up a case and there's like a million different containers and he just gets one, puts it on, and bandages her up. Um, and he gives a cool reason of why he won't let her train as hard as them. And he said, when a Witcher cracks his skull, strap him to a bed, put 3 ingredients into him, and he'll survive. Like we can't do that with you, really.
Yeah, I mean for her that should be the end goal, but I mean that sounds like the perfect kind of version of a warrior almost. They seem like, I mean, they obviously are purposely bred for this, but that's just kind of funny that like I just would like picturing like a casual scene of like me and my friends if we were witchers and like you crack your skull open and we're not really that worried. We just pump you with some shit and throw you in a bed.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Let him sleep it off.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
So she storms out. She keeps bringing up this want of being a great fighter. She basically wants to be able to defend herself. So she runs out, and Geralt like looks up and sees like a vine poking out, and pulls it, ends up getting a whole bunch of vines, and then Ciri's blue cloak that she wore when she escaped Sintra. She still is holding onto it. I saw this and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I,
I mean, I
I,
guess I don't know how like he feels about it because he's rather emotionless in the scene. But I'm just curious if that's gonna end up being like a like with Arya in Game of Thrones, where they kind of tell her to hide Needle because she has to put that kind of her past behind her, and she's not able to. I'm curious if like because she said she wants to kind of become a Witcher, but can she both become a Witcher and like save Sintra and like then be the queen and the leader? That seems like can we have a Witcher queen? I don't know yet.
so you're saying take care of one thing at
Yeah, I
like
just don't know like if she'll be able to do that. I'm not I don't know.
so
It would be interesting.
the way I took this, and I don't know if this is right at all. Like the next scene we get of Geralt is him like rushing in and saying like, it's Ciri being trained by Cohen, being showing more fighting skills, really
Yeah.
cool. And Geralt goes up to her and says, that strange feeling that you get when someone's coming after you. Can you explain it to me? and if she had to use one word, she describes it as a pull. It's like she's being pulled towards something. So he goes on and says, if you were to follow that feeling, where would it take you? She ends up closing her eyes. This is where she gets the vision of her being dragged in the woods. So she says the woods. And the way I took that tree branch grabbing her cloak was that what these monsters are just being pulled towards her and are going for her. So trying to go for Siri, the monster, the less she ended up grabbing her cloak.
Yeah.
But it just seems really weird to me.
Yeah, I guess I just assumed that was like a remnant of when Eskel was a Leshy, and it like was like part of him that was like kind of going like while he was fighting and doing all the other shit
Hmm.
was like searching through the keep for her, and he
Hmm.
got that close, and then they end up killing him. So like it was that close of a call.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, that's where I'm standing at right now because it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean that's my headcanon at least.
But we do go to the woods. We see Geralt in a sexy armor. It's
Mm.
fucking phenomenal. He was born to play this role,
It's so
and
good.
he just walking around with the long hair and that armor. I'm like, I want to be friends with you so bad.
Hit us up, Henry.
Yeah. So Geralt goes on to say that he witnessed uncontrolled magic from Ciri's mother back when Ciri's mother got married. It was during the wedding feast. This was episode 4, I believe, of season 1. Um, we see all that. That's with Dooney, and he says, I don't know what that was, but there's a chance you inherited it or something like it. So he's kind of piecing it together. Siri realizes they're close. She looks and then she sees the Leshy just straight up standing there without a hand.
I thought it looked
Wild.
great.
Oh yeah, they make monsters look so good in this show. I will give them that. Like no matter what I think of the storyline and what choices they make killer beasts and monsters. Um, so they know it's missing the hand. So this is obviously Eskel's Leshy. Uh, Siri gets dragged a little bit. That's where her vision pops in. Geralt runs up, and before he could even stab it, he does the cool blade thing again. This monster just comes up behind it and just slices it in half.
Yeah, that was like crazy to me. I'd like they talk about the Leshy as this like incredibly badass monster, and then it just gets like its ass shredded up real quick. And I was like, God damn. I mean, I guess it does add to the tension of this new monster of like, what is this? But
Mm.
I was expecting more out of the Leshy. But I guess that was the point.
Yeah, to me, it kind of felt like a hat on a hat. It's like, oh, you're going to fight this Leshy. It's so badass. This is what took over Eskel. And then I guess they figured we already showed you the Eskel fight, so let's just kill this monster and have another one come in. So again, this thing they don't say its name, but it's called a myriapod.
Okay.
Really cool. And actually, in the books, Geralt is supposed to meet Ciri for the first time fighting one of these off. He's going through the Brockland Forest. All of a sudden, he sees a little girl getting attacked by this thing and goes to save it. That's how
Okay.
they first meet in the books.
That's very
So
interesting.
very interesting. But it was cool that they are kind of pulling these monsters in from different parts of the lore and bringing them on screen because this thing looked incredible.
Yeah, it looked great. And I mean, speaking of looking great, the fucking landscape that she's running through, like to get away from it, I was like, where
Where
are they?
was this? Yeah, is this Ireland? Is this
Yeah,
Iceland?
it looked amazing.
It did. Yeah, she kind of ran away and was just kind of hiding. And I was like, what is going on? This seems weird. Just
Yeah.
killing screen time.
She did use Lambert's. She was controlling her breathing, though. She made a point to control her breathing.
That's awesome. I didn't catch that, but that is sweet. She did, and then she pokes her head out and goes to run. And
Yeah.
I think the whole point of it was that the myriapod was coming for her because Geralt gets knocked away. Instead of going for Geralt, the myriapod kind of walks away and then
Yeah.
goes towards where she's hiding.
Which, mistake, because you definitely want to kill Geralt first before you do anything with Ciri, because
Yeah, you don't want to. You want to get Geralt out of the way.
Yeah.
And he kind of corners Siri. Was he gonna like not kill her? Do you think he was gonna kill her?
Are we confirming it's a he?
I didn't see
Yeah, I
any.
didn't see any genitalia.
Yeah,
But no, I'm just fucking around. But yeah, you definitely got a weird vibe that it wasn't just immediately going to kill her. So I guess that
yeah.
begs the question: it was after her, purposely after her, didn't immediately harm her. So it didn't seem like the extraction type of monster.
Hmm.
But I mean, maybe that could have been the goal. I really thought she was gonna like go into that crack. I thought there was gonna be room for it. But
Yeah, that's
even if
what.
she was going to, I mean, obviously Geralt just comes and fucks its ass up. So
Yeah, just drops down and does a sword throughout its entire like spine, and then
badass.
chops its head off real quick. Always got to chop the head off. First thing they teach you in Witcher school. Always got to kill the monster by chopping its head off.
Dude, and Geralt's our fucking star student, so
Yeah, he's a beast. The only reason I said that, like, is it gonna kill Siri, is because it like put its like pincers out to block her when she tried to run,
yeah.
but like didn't really, swing or do anything. It kind of hesitated. Whatever. Geralt did the right thing, chopped its head off. And she brings up the line, less than perfect means death. That was referencing Sir Laszlo, her knight from season one. Who
Oh.
he was assigned to take care of her, and he died real quick at the fall of Sintra. Uh, she said it earlier this episode, meaning, hey, I want to train as much as until I'm perfect. And then Geralt hits her at the very end with a Sir Laszlo would be proud.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I see. I didn't make that connection, so okay. I fuck with that.
Yeah, Geralt is a big softie. We got
Yeah.
we got we got
he,
that last episode, but he
he
is.
is, man. He's just a very interesting character.
All right, so that is it for Geralt and Siri for this episode. We're going to jump over to Tisea because that's all we really got right now. We don't know where the other girl is. So we get to Tisea and Aretusa. This is 1 month after the Battle of Sodden. She's writing the name of all the mage casualties in the last one we see, for Vengerberg. And this is weird because I'm like, okay, Fringilla was just saying last episode, she won't even conjure up good food. She'll only conjure up like little mushrooms for her people to eat because she wants to conserve her chaos, not use it willy nilly. And meanwhile, Tisea is over here, not even using her hand to write. Like, she's
Yeah.
like using magic.
I mean, I guess are they and I guess I don't really know how hard it is to get chaos because it seems like maybe she's not in such a dire position that
Hmm.
maybe she are they at they're at Aretusa, correct?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So I
And
mean,
in season one, we did kind of get that whole mages that are training, but that don't make it. They get turned into like eels, and they end up being conduits for Aretusa. Another just fucking wild storyline that comes out of nowhere.
that's so
But
fucked up.
I know it's horrible. They just live forever as a fucking eel, giving power to Aretusa. So I don't know. Maybe she pulls chaos from that. I just basically getting that, like, they try to set up rules for the magic system, but then they just don't seem to follow it all the time. It's like, why not just let it be soft and crazy and no rules?
Yeah.
Anyway, we get to Istrid being questioned by the Brotherhood, um, and he is talking about his time at the Nilfgaard archaeological dig site. He didn't see anything, but Stregobor is just using this to say like, oh yeah, if he was at Nilfgaard and didn't see anything, how are we supposed to know about it? To say is like, dude, fucking we and Vilgeforce told you, try to get you all before they attack Sod. So basically, Stregobor is just the biggest dick.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a wanker.
It doesn't get better either. It's a wanker who can't wank because, as we know,
Yeah. Well, I guess that's to say a comment rather about conserving chaos. Is he just like constantly using magic to keep his hands up?
has to, I guess.
I mean, he doesn't seem like the type to care about having to kill things or
No,
use these
absolutely not.
eels completely all the time. So, yeah, I had forgotten his name, so
Stragobor.
I just kept writing racist motherfucker.
Yeah, piece of shit.
Yeah.
Vilgefortz has a line saying the Northern Kings are coming and they need answers. Our prisoner has nothing. There's a magical barrier in his head. just that's nuts now. We can do that.
Yeah, that was an interesting confirmation that whatever to say it did in previous episodes just didn't really end up working.
It didn't work. And Ishtar goes on to say, all he was there to do was to study monoliths, and they hold a history and possibly our future as well. Never really heard of monolith before this. Something that they're leaning into really heavy. Obviously, we get into it a little bit later in episode 4,
Yeah.
but
It's a shame that this guy was such a cocksmack in the first season because I like this like character archetype,
mhm,
but obviously you can't divorce it from him fucking Yen over, and Yen's obviously baby girl, so
yeah,
I can't fuck with him. But I do kind of like this role that he's playing a little bit. It's getting interesting, but I mean obviously he's a rat, so
he's a great actor. I can't tell you his name off the top of my head. I'm sorry for that, but I do like him a lot. And this is a really interesting character. It was a character that had a small part in the books, but they're kind of expanding it, and it's one of the things that I actually enjoy a lot. Of one of the changes they make. He is a really cool character. I'm glad they're utilizing him. Um, but yeah, he's just a giant nerd. He's a giant history nerd. Uh, and talks about Stregobor being a piece of shit. He's here saying the elves are running about. It's
yeah.
horrible. We need to subdue them. And to say is like, dude, the elves aren't our enemies. And he's like, well, you know, they are. And if we don't do, yeah, he doesn't have a point. He's like, they just are. And if we don't do something about it, they're going to be burying way more than 14 mages. And then right in, she's like, 13. Here comes Yen. She ain't dead yet.
Yeah, she's not dead yet, thank God.
A little bit weird of a line, if I'm honest, but
You know what? I thought the weirder line was when her and Tisea have this conversation on, I guess, this huge, beautiful balcony for just
mhm.
like a side comment, my lord. But when she calls Stregobor a fuckhead,
Yeah,
I was like,
loved it.
she knows the word fuckhead?
Fuck yeah,
Yeah, it was just
she's.
funny to me.
Oh man, I should keep a yen fuck count going because she's been dropping the f bomb nonstop, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, yeah. Just the word fuckhead was just so funny to me in this context.
Yeah, she has the mouth of a sailor. But from that scene, we go to Tisea and Yen on this balcony, like you were talking, call Strike or fuckhead. Tisea tells Yen that she's a war hero. We all owe you gratitude in our lives. But right now, you need to take a step back and let Vilgeforge carry the mantle. And it's because they're making a play for Stregobor and Fringilla's uncle's chairs.
To
But I'm
say I
like,
don't know.
what? Like, why not just Yen be fucking a boss? Why not come out?
I know. I don't really understand that. Well, I guess is it because she's half elf?
I,
Is anyone
maybe
else? I guess no. They make it such a point for her, so maybe
for
like,
her, yeah.
I mean, I guess Stregobor would be like, no way, get this fucking heathen mudblood out of here.
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me why Yen has to be on the hush hush. But speaking of Yen, we go to her at the pool, and she's finally all cleaned up. She finally has a bath, looks great. She's at the pool and she's trying to use magic, not working. And in comes some other mages. Oh, also, Yen yells "fuck" right here.
Yes.
When her magic doesn't work, she goes "fuck" and slash. Um, so in comes Triss, who we haven't seen in a while. Sabrina, who was the one in season 1, who ends up heating up the pool, and then some third Jag, which I have no idea who she was.
Yeah,
But
in this scene I was thinking like trying to remember who the other two girls were, and then they
mm,
just started taking their clothes off, and I was like, all right, whatever.
I'm just gonna watch. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
think.
I was like, I don't need to think about anything else right now.
Yeah, I was pretty excited, and no one didn't say anything. I was like, but it's okay. Um,
It was honestly a nice scene. I feel like Yen really needed that.
yeah, she was back with the girls. I liked how Sabrina called her the savior of Sodden. Though she was like, surely the savior of Sodden knows how to heat a pool, and then goes
Yeah.
and heats it. Um, yeah, they all took off their clothes, which was sweet, but not Triss, not
No.
Triss, because we learn, she still has the scars where she burnt. Um, Yen also has a line here where the first time she sees Trish, she's like, "Oh, I've missed you. Like you look different," and I'm pretty sure that's because in season 1, Trish had like brunette short hair, and people were absolutely furious. Like, people
Oh,
would
really?
not stand for this atrocity. They were like, Triss Marigold is supposed to have red hair. And I think that's why she grew it out longer. And now it's still a little bit brunette, but it's more red.
I like her color hair. I mean, obviously, I'm not a book reader, but it's just an interesting color. I think it looks good on her.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way she looks, to be honest. It's, different take on the Trish that we know from the games, but it's completely its own thing. Um, it's cool to see them reunite. And later on, it's actually we go through a few more scenes, but we come back to it's just Trish and Yen at the pool, and they're talking about Sod, and Trish even goes on to say, if one of us gets to live, I'm glad it's Yen. That's what she was thinking as she was dying. Um, and Yen's like, well, don't worry, it'll be Yen, the one who will find a way to fix your scars. And Trish is like, no, no, I don't want that. Like, some things can't be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take. I feel like I wouldn't agree with her, but it's
I,
commendable.
I wouldn't agree either.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's commendable. Although I've never been through that level of trauma, so who am I to talk?
It's like, if you like your scars, that's okay, right? Like, leave them. Like when
Yeah,
Yen, she changed her body. She left her scars from when she tried to kill herself, just
yeah,
because
that's
she
a good
liked
point.
those ones as a reminder.
Yeah, I
Um,
got a couple knife cuts from hills that I kind of particularly like. I have a nice little
yeah,
scar on
once
my elbow that I got from rollerblading when I was a little tyke. I like that one.
hell yeah, they're all scars of stories. Some people
Yeah,
like
so
scars.
I guess I get it.
Just, you get it. So we actually cut from this to Stregobor.
What a terrible tone shift this is.
So confusing. If
Well, I'm just
not,
talking about we're with ladies in the pool, and then now we got this fucking scumbag who's trying to teach everyone else to be racist against elves.
yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's telling a story about this girl named Falca. I don't believe you've heard anything about her in season 1 or season 2 so far. She is, as he was saying, this elf. The way he tells it is, she was a power hungry mud of a girl, cried death to all kings when Verdank, her father, spurned her elfin mother. Bent on revenge, she slaughtered nobility, civilians with her bare hands, and incited rebellion, burned cities to the ground. And Ishtar comes in, he's like, dude, that's not true at all. She was like, Falco was a girl forgotten by her family that was trying to get her rightful home back. Striker Boy's like, you don't know anything. Get out of here.
Yeah, I would know. I don't have any hands.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy the use of fire magic to tell this story.
That's
Like,
what I was curious about. I couldn't tell if he was using fire magic or it was like some type of projection that he was just like putting up there.
yeah, like, if it was just an illusion that he was
Yeah,
creating, it
yeah,
wasn't actual fire.
that's a better term for it.
Because, like, why do they make fire so taboo? And then, they go out and show Strikeable using it. But I don't know.
I honestly,
Little
yeah, I mean, I
nitpicky.
guess personally, I didn't think that it was fire magic.
Mm. Um, so yeah, Istrid comes in and just starts talking about, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. It gets crazy. Somehow he's throwing. So you're saying Yennefer is related to Falca? And Strikeable saying, like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. But uh, he's Strikeable saying, I was there. You're just a historian. Uh, Basically, he's doing all this to try to get Vilgefortz to not go and charge Nilfgaard with Tisea, because that would be the downfall of, like, all of them.
Okay, I definitely thought he was just sticking it to Yen. That's what it felt like.
He was. It was, both of it. he
Yeah,
was always trying to get something across, though, because he's always has an agenda.
yeah, he's just a scumbag. I don't know. I mean, this episode, if it did one thing well, it did a lot of things well. But if it did one thing well, it was to get across that this guy's a fucking piece of shit.
Oh, he totally is. Um, so a little bit later, we get Yen kind of walking through the halls. She's looking absolutely fine. She has like a quick run in with Vilgefortz, and it's like a short talk about politics. And I guess that was to re-emphasize the fact that Yen is kind of taking a back seat. And then she goes by Kahir. They have a little quick conversation. They kind of know each other a little bit. Fringilla has told Kahir about Yen, and Yen, has seen and fought Kahir on the battlefield. So they had a quick back and forth. And then she runs into the dickhead himself, Stregobor. And of course, he just does something so atrocious, touches her, puts her in like a mental prison, and then does like the Tisea mind torture to go back and see her visions because he doesn't trust her. He's
Yeah.
saying, why was this chick that was in Nilfgaard come back and like why is there no suspicion? But
Yeah.
like slow your roll.
It seemed like he pretty much just like raped her in the hallway.
It probably was like the
Yeah.
mind rape equivalent.
I was like, damn, this dude's bold.
Yeah, and it was right in the hallway, which
To
was
say it
not
comes and
smart.
fucks his ass up though.
Sends him down the hallway, hits the wall. It actually goes into Stregobor answering for his crimes, basically. To say it has him in front of the Brotherhood, stating that he committed treason against one of their own. And Stregobor's trying to say, Yen is a threat from. She is a threat inside these walls. Vilgefortz, you're talking about threats outside the walls. She is a spy inside. How do we know that she's not evil? And they're like, well, how do you know? And Stregobor's like, I don't know, but I don't know that she's not.
Yeah, that little fucker. He's like,
And
how do you know that I don't know that you don't know?
and they come to the conclusion that Yen is not a traitor if she kills Kahir.
Yeah, just somehow it turns out bad for her. She just got basically mind raped in the hallway, and it sowed just enough doubt in her that now she needs to cut someone's head off.
Yeah,
She should have never came back to Aretusa.
Seriously, nothing but bad things. It seems to be awaited her here.
She gets
And
out
Yen,
pretty soon though.
yeah, very soon. Yen has a little talk with Tisea about this. Like, why do I have to do this? Like, this is insane. Eventually, Tisea is like, well, you can get out of it by telling them you lost your powers. And she's like, nope, won't do it. I'll go behead Kahir before I tell them I don't have powers.
Yeah, that's such an interesting kind of. Maybe it's a character flaw, but this is just such an extreme way to show it that it would really be that easy almost.
Mm-hmm.
But she almost can't fathom admitting that to these people.
Yeah, she's like nothing without her power. She's like keeping it close to her chest.
She's something to me.
I agree. She's beautiful to me. She's very gorgeous to me. Yennefer and Istrid have a real quick talk where he calls her Yenna. She's like, don't call me that.
Yeah, get out of here, fucking bro.
Get out of here with that. Kind of basically showing that Istrid was willing to run away to Nilfgaard with her, but also kind of help her out, saying, hey, Stregobor has spies in the tower. Like, you can't sneak out. Yen gets a real quick vision from the old witch and is telling Yen to come to her. I think that will be important later on in the season.
Yeah.
These recurring visions.
I think they've been doing them well. I think that the Siri ones were a little more plain compared to what we got in episode 2 when we get the witch, when we first meet the witch in the hut. But this was nice. I liked the kind of the red light. It definitely was a little, it felt a lot more intimidating and like, oh fuck.
Mm-hmm. So we get all the mages and Kahir in chains, and they are walking to the execution platform. And Jesus Christ. Whew, Kahir, couldn't think of his name. Kahir has a cool line where he says, am I really going to die? All right, like, I'm ready to face the light, or, it is blindness that we find out of true strength. Wait.
The way, brother.
It is in blindness that we find our true strength.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds way better than what I said before. And I feel like this is just a straight shot at Yen because Yen is quote unquote blind without having her powers right now, and she's supposed to be like finding her true self, true strength. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading me too much into it, but we get all the kings. We see a bunch of them, but there's only 2 that really are important, and that's the 2 that end up talking. We know King Foltest of Temeria. He was in season 1. He was the Striga king. Yeah, giant butthole. He was in love with his sister. And then this new guy is King Vizimir, and he is the king of Verdania. And they have a quick conversation, and they're talking about Yennefer, basically showing that they have advisors that know a lot of information. Therefore, they know a lot of information. Foltest even has a line our most trusted advisors become less and less trustworthy, like every day. Every day. Vesemir also brings up the name Dijkstra. This is the first time we hear the name Dijkstra. He obviously comes into play next episode. Vilgefortz is going on to announce why Yen is sacrificing or killing Cahir, saying, they must all unite against a common enemy, and then this is what strength looks like. And I'm like, strength doesn't look like chopping off the head of a helpless man to me.
Well, I mean, he was like isn't he like their captain general? Isn't he the leader of their armies?
Yeah, he was in charge of the attack on Sintra, basically.
That's
So
that's a fairly large show of strength, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
just feel bad that he's chained up.
Yeah, I mean, he totally looks like shit. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't come off as it definitely doesn't look like this large display of power. But I guess symbolically, what this man was, you could argue. But yeah, I
mean, trust me, Kings. This guy was a piece of shit. Like,
yeah, you see this sewer rat right here? He used to be something.
So Yen, after getting handed the axe, decides to set Cahir free and then chop down the bonfires to make sure they couldn't get chased. And Cahir's like, "Why'd you save me? Don't flatter yourself. I'm saving myself." And they ride off. I was so fucking confused. I was like, that has never happened. Didn't see that coming.
I just
don't know where this is going.
It left me with some questions. I mean, it was kind of like, so she's thinking that being branded as a traitor or a spy and getting like the freedom to go out and search for her cure is worse than admitting that she's burnt out.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused of like, I guess I keep saying I guess because I don't know. Like, she felt like a prisoner at Aretuza, where she's like technically free, but she has to take the back seat because Vilgefortz needs to be the hero, and she's also, I guess, against a little bit. Stregobor is obviously seems to have something out for her. It just and also I guess I'm in the vision. The voice does say like, "Come to me," so I guess she thinks she needs an out, and I guess from my perspective, it seems like she feels trapped in Aretuza, and there's no way that she's going to be able to get her chaos back and kind of do what she needs to do while she's stuck there. So this is the only way, I guess. But it definitely was kind of like, I was a little confused at why she took this drastic of a measure. But at the same time, she's not really thinking straight, I guess.
I mean, I totally agree. Her one ally on her side, Tisea, it's now like, what the fuck? Like, you're running away with the prisoner? Like, that's insane.
Yeah, and then in front of everyone, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it looks horrible.
Yeah, she's definitely way higher up on the suspect list now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was show them that you're not suspect and that you're not a traitor or a spy, and then she
freaking runs away with
she
the
says,
prisoner.
Fuck that.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us for episode 3, guys. Episode 4, it's going to be right behind. Keep an eye out for it. If you like what you heard, our podcast also covers, Wheel Time, Dexter, Midnight Mass, Rick and Morty, all different kinds of shows, but really, really good shows.
And we're really, really good at it.
Hell yeah. Check us out on our website, BingetownTV.com. That will lead you to everywhere, including our Patreon, our Instagram, our Twitter, and anywhere you get a podcast, check us out, BingetownTV.com.